They open up this realm where if you need a lead, you just get in the vehicle and you go. And you can potentially never come back, and you have a second home that you can roam around in.
This mess, I'll tell you what, man. Hey, Tyler, wow, whatever my name is. This is Tyler with TJX Survival Dispatch. I am at ACME Overland, and today, the thing that I want to show you is options. When it comes to survival, having the ability to move from one affected area to a non-affected area can be the key to living, going on to go somewhere else. And if we're being totally honest, overlanding's just cool. Overlanding's fun. It's something I'm really interested in. So check out these vehicles this company makes. It's a company here local to Salt Lake City. And tell me what you think down below.
3, 2, 1.
I'm Tom Bender, ACME Overland. Thanks for joining us. We'll give you guys a quick tour of what we do here. So we are we call it a vehicle builder. We started with Sprinter vans for transits and have moved not into exclusively, but into a kind of a bigger realm. So we work on a lot of Mercedes-Benz trucks, from Unimogs to kind of their big brother, big sister vehicles, build them custom for our clients. And you'll have to excuse my nose. I've got a little bit of a cold here, so pardon that. We'll walk through and just kind of give you a quick peek at what we're kind of getting into. So everything in the shop would be a client's vehicle that we've worked with to build the floor plan from the vehicle, having the vehicle defined, building the box, to things like the hatches, and then everything within, from showers, radiant heated flooring, the electrical systems. Actually, I'll pop this hatch behind us here, kind of showcase what is the garage space in this thing. And then there's a barbecue down here. So just all kinds of little bits and pieces through these trucks specifically, which also kind of ties right into the van market as well. So, and everything in the shop is in various states of completion. This thing's probably like 85% complete. We have vans that are 10% complete, and so on and so forth. So, so just kind of, continue to walk through here, and if you want to ask questions as we go.
So what do you put your base vehicles on? Does that just depend on what people ask for?
Yeah, it really is client based. We do tend to lean towards a Mercedes platform. We have a lot of contact in Europe, a lot of resource in Europe that we'll work with to kind of find. This was an ex-fire truck. The Unimog was ex-NATO, was an ambulance. There was an ex-fire truck over that way. Well, it's not that we're exclusive on Mercedes-Benz. We do work a lot of Mercedes-Benz on their chassis, but having those resources overseas to bring these trucks in, which we think are very, very good for kind of these, expedition type vehicles. They're 25 years old. They're all mechanical, relatively easy to service. If they do break down, they're all-wheel drive, lockers, or whatever. Powerful, kind of a generic term, but they're powerful vehicles. Can contain a lot of weight. So yeah, that's kind of the base vehicle we typically choose, but we have stuff in the works. It's on a Ford F550 that's brand new. So kind of just varies at what the customer wants. So
it's awesome. You want to show me the front of this one?
Yeah. Come on, swing around this way. And, on this truck, we've added, there's a snorkel, there's updated LED lighting. We've got a whole bunch of, excuse the lack of space perhaps, but winch that we've added. This truck is a Mercedes-Benz. It's a 94. It's an SK 1634. What that basically means is it's 16 tons, and then roughly 340 horsepower generally is what it equates to. This truck has actually been tuned, so it has something like 500 horsepower.
Substantial.
Yeah, it's substantial upgrade. It's a 6-cylinder, turbocharged, intercooled. It's automatic transmission. And then So that's the kind of the chassis that we started with. Inside the cab, we've refurbed everything. I can see there's a leather wrapped steering wheel. We've added cameras for visibility, kind of around the vehicle, full upholstery inside, added sound, all kinds of stuff within. The lighting, the roof rack, we didn't do on this particular truck. This was done. The client had done that before us, but something like the Unimog, which is just behind us, we've done cab roof rack, brush guards, rear roof rack, all of those things. A little more of a complete package, and aesthetically kind of is more of a final finished product. And this so as we're looking at this Unimog here, we didn't paint this particular truck. It was refurbed at a facility outside of Utah here. But we've done all the upholstery in the cab, added camera for visibility, added lighting, exterior. So we've done a lot of work in the cab on this truck as well. That is kind of a common theme, whereas we'll take a vehicle. These vehicles weren't necessarily made for, comfort travel. So we're trying to make them a lot more comfortable in their state for our clients. So this is a 1300L Unimog. It's the chassis. Was, like I said, ex-NATO ambulance. So was a European vehicle at one point. I don't know the exact back history on it, but was brought to us about a year ago now. Just a chassis. So we've taken, you still see, some of the raw parts of the Mercedes-Benz, kind of the base vehicle, but things like, we've added this S-Pod for lighting control. We've added a backup camera or a reverse camera. It has dual function, so it has a higher and lower camera as well. Upholstered, kind of the interior spots that needed it, which also helps control sound. Added this little kind of storage, but also dog bed. So underneath there's storage, kind of hard to see right there. But this will also be a dog bed for their small dog. We didn't do any upgraded stereo specifically in this, but they have this Bluetooth JBL that they'll also pull to the rear of the vehicle, so they can have that. Then they can also take it outside too. So we've got a little mount that we made for it. There was AC added to this, Schumann seats, and then really probably the biggest portion of this whole thing is we pulled the whole back wall out and then added the pass-through into the habitat, the living space. So that was probably the biggest portion of this whole job, aside from kind of the living space itself. So, kind of in its basic form, the Unimog was intended as a tractor. It's pretty raw. But I think what we've added here kind of just makes it a little more of a little more creature comfortable thing to drive around for this couple and then their dog, of course. So,
See, get this down. A lot of space. I like that because you can work on these things.
Yeah, that is the beauty of some of these older trucks. They're very, very easy to work on. Kind of the beauty of an older truck or older mechanical vehicle for expedition travel is that they, inevitably something will happen. Something might break down over time, and they can be very easily serviced, which is, again, the beauty of these things. So on this particular truck here, we didn't add the winch. This was done prior to our work by the company who did the refurb work, but we did add new headlamps here. And then, of course, the roof rack, Baja light up top. And then, we'll get to the module part of things here in just a moment. But, the roof rack itself, it does have a hoist up there that we could put a spare tire. They more than likely will use it just for storage rather than an additional spare tire. Whereas the spare tire rack's on the back, so we can circle around there as well. Tinted the windows. We kind of tend to do that on most of the vehicles. Added side ladders in the cab. And we have Foxes. Foxes are very much in progress. There are a couple over here, but probably tough to jump into this right now. But we can hopefully just get a quick ladder. Go ahead. What Jake's working there, slaving away.
You want me to pop out?
He'd be like, I need a dad joke. You got any dad jokes?
No, I don't think my jokes are appropriate.
That's fair. I'm okay with that.
But so we built this from the ground up. This was on the ground a month ago. The box itself, when we lifted it up on there, just a little easier to work on the ground with one of these versus up and down a ladder all the time. So I'm sure Jake's had enough of going up and down a ladder at this point.
I just stole his ladder.
Yeah. And we have a stair set that will go up. This van is too tight right now to make that happen. So, and then like I said, around the whole vehicle, there are Mercedes-Benz fuel tanks on it. Those weren't changed at all. There's two of them, so I think they've upgraded one to add another. air system had been gone through prior to us, and then we have kind of AC work on the outside here. There's storage boxes, 2 on each side, and then the large kind of storage rack on the rear, which I guess we didn't even talk about.
You could almost put a whole sleeping berth in there. That has a lot of space.
It is a good sized garage. We made the hatches and everything for this particular box, specific to fit bikes, on a slider tray that will slide out kind of full distance. So
Like e-bikes and whatever, or mountain bikes.
mountain bikes specifically, yep. So they'll have 2 mountain bikes. Actually, I think they'll travel with 3. This is going to be where their skis will live. All of that metalwork is down below. It's kind of one of the later things or last things we'll put in, so we can still continue to work and not have that all be in our way. So
That's just awesome.
thank you. And then, like I said, the rear rack here, it remains a little more modular, simple at this point until they move, quote unquote, move into it and start using it, knowing what they're going to put on the back, whether that be a box. I know they will put a propane cylinder of some sort on there. And we have a ladder on the other side, just in case they need to get up to the top for any particular reason. So
this is something someone could easily live out of permanently, long term, or even just get in and go to another country with.
Yes to both of those. These folks will actually, they've sold their home and will move into this here in the next, call it 4 weeks. So they're going to travel for a year specifically in this truck. I know they will go to Alaska. They were here 3 weeks ago now, and I asked that very question, like, what are you guys going to do? Like, what's the plan? Because I kind of live vicariously through most of my clients, and so they will start here. They're going to go, as it's still a little cooler here in Salt Lake, they're going to go south, Arizona and stuff. Then they're going to go all the way to Alaska, and then on their way back, they'll head to Mexico, Baja, and perhaps finish their trip at that point, or continue further south. So they're kind of they want to get to Alaska. That's like the goal, and then everything after that's like whatever,
Just icing on the cake.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, electrical system, in its I don't know, in its simplicity is some batteries, an inverter, solar controller, those sorts of things. It is way more complex than that, but for what I think my clients need to interface with and how I want them to use it and not have complications with it is actually quite simple. So we have a touch screen interface it's up. We can't see it. I'm pointing through this wall. But that controls basically all of the lights, controls water tanks, water tank levels, heater, controls AC in certain cases. So it will do pretty much everything for you. That also has an app that you can just touch, turn lights on and off, those sorts of things. And then Victron itself has its own kind of back end where you can go in and view those things from afar if you needed to. So if this truck was stored for a while and you needed to check on your status of things, if it's not turned off, you can go onto that portal and look at these things, which is kind of the beauty of Victron stuff. Plus, it's common throughout most places, marinas, those sorts of industries. So common product, but 12-volt system. It's a 3,000 watt inverter. Has, gosh, I forget how much solar is on the roof, but the roof is basically covered save for where there's space for their Starlink that they will put, and then the roof hatch. So it's a pretty full solar array. And the truck itself will also charge via alternator, and then there's a short plug as well. So it is kind of 3 things. Mostly they'll get most of their charge from solar. So, and then there's 3 330 amp lithium batteries. So nice, robust electrical system for what is a pretty simple vehicle itself for what they're using. Induction is their biggest draw. So
These are lithium, etc.
they're lithium. Yep, exactly. Yep. So again, kind of, in its simplicity, it is an inverter, some batteries, a solar controller, and then a whole bunch of wiring.
So basically a whole off-grid system, all fully contained, capable of just traveling.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. For what they have, for what they're using, like what they're consuming with power, it's a very robust system for that. I mean, they could plug in if they don't have room for it, but like a microwave, you could easily travel without any problem. An additional induction if they wanted to without any problem. It's kind of one of those systems. It's overbuilt in case down the road they want to do something else with it that we haven't predicted. So
Yeah.
awesome, cool. This truck came from Europe. Was, like I said, originally was a fire truck, and it's when it started its life. Kind of beauty with a fire truck is that it's same with the U.S., same anywhere across the world. It's incredibly maintained, low miles. And then in Europe, these things are four-wheel drive. And they can kind of just do anything. Put big old tires on there. These are 395, what are they, 295s, 85s, R20s. Yeah, it's a big old tire.
Same thing LMTV's got.
Yep, exactly. We've seen them with 1400. I've seen them with 16. Like they can go bigger too. Sometimes it just comes down to what makes the most sense.
It's like 47-inch tire, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But translated into
I've got a couple of like 53-inch tires in the back, and those are they're ridiculously large. But yeah, so we've done, and still there's a couple little bits. You'll see the fuse panel exposed here. But we basically gutted this thing and reupholstered most of everything, new headliner, upgraded audio, and we can jump up in there. So similar kind of to the Unimog directly across from us there, we've upgraded, refurbished kind of the interior of the cab here as well, from new air ride seats to a whole bunch of new paneling, new roof paneling for sound control. We've added this kind of drop down for the AC, for the audio that's coming through, for additional lighting overhead. And then we've added additional kind of camera monitoring systems while driving specifically, just for better, because there are a number of different blind spots in this thing. So just to kind of get better visibility in general. Reverse cameras, of course, a huge one. And then we've got infrared here, which is great for, kind of nighttime driving as well. So, touchscreen with navigation, light control with the S-Pod again. We've added, multiple USBs around. I'm trying to think of what else is going on in this thing. The sound in this truck is unlike anything I've ever honestly experienced. It's pretty wild. The engine itself is also quite wild. But the kind of the sound work we've done in here to quiet down the engine, honestly, and then added upgraded speakers and audio and all that stuff. So, and then this particular couple, they actually have two large dogs. So like while this is their driving space, their dogs have kind of this back space to lounge in, which again is kind of wild that their dogs have a full nice big bed back there. Kind of fun.
You can easily adjust that and put like 3 adult seats back there comfortably.
Easily. The other truck over here, we can look at that cab as well. We've added 2 more air ride seats, but you could seat a whole bunch more people in there. That truck over there was meant for 7 people in total. From its like when it was born at the Mercedes factory. So, but then so this is the rear will be, there's additional storage back here, and then like I said, that will be mostly cushions and stuff for their dogs to live while driving and actually sleep at night as well. Of course, there's the pass-through. That pass-through goes into the bathroom, and we'll look in there in just a moment. But otherwise, the cab itself, one thing I didn't quite on, sitting on them is we had the steering wheel leather wrapped. We talked about doing like full leather wrap on the whole dash and everything, but then decided that it didn't make sense to do that. So we just did the steering wheel. So it's quite wild what it does though. From most of these vehicles are commercial, so it's like. That's not their raw. Yeah, very, very raw. And, Mercedes-Benz does a nice job of, like, making it less raw. It's still a nice vehicle from the get-go, but this just adds that level of detail to it. So windows are tinted all around. That's a big deal for just the amount of windows in the space. So this truck has been, it's been in development for almost 2.5 years. From when I met the client, we decided to work together, floor plan, truck, all of those things. So there's a timeline, a long timeline in these things. So it's nice to kind of see like
it's like building a house.
It is absolutely 100%. This particular truck, the Unimog is similar, right? But it has fully radiant heated floors. There's 3 sections of that floor. The huge garage that we kind of already looked at, power system, which is arguably the most complex we've ever worked on. From the custom shower and bathroom stall area, and then everything else. It's just it is absolutely a home. And then of course the finishes. This particular client's pretty meticulous about the finishes, and we are as well. So that it works well for us, I guess. But all of the kind of darker wood you see is teak, and then otherwise it's a white laminate. This is the kitchen area. It has a huge sink, and we have to envision this right now because it's very much in process still. But all of the water controls will be here, and there'll be access from outside as well. So you kind of have the ability to plug in. That will be closed off from the inside.
Could you pull off of like raw river water?
You could. So in that scenario, I would say we've talked about this at length, him and I. If he was going to do that, if that was something sorry, my voice is going up and down with the noise out there. If he was to do that, any of my clients could, I would suggest having a pre-filter before going into the main filters, just so it doesn't clog up the main filters faster, right? So we do with all of our systems, they'll have a pull function, a pump that's pulling water in, and then also from city water, you could also push the water through, and it all does get filtered, UV filtered before it does go into the tank.
Do you want to show me both of?
Yeah, I do. So while we're kind of moving that way, this is our touchscreen I was mentioning before.
That's the Victron system.
Victron is all of the components. This is our touchscreen that we developed to, turn our lights on and off, and control. It's not quite set up yet, so it's missing some things. But tank levels, heaters, those sorts of things. Chassis voltage, chassis unplugged right now. So, but that gives us where I was going is I need to turn on the bathroom lights. So, and then we can jump in here, and I will stand back just because I'll let you go in.
Talk loud.
Not enough room. Yeah, there's not enough room for us to bulkhead in there. But the bathroom itself has, shower, has also forced air. There's also radiant heat, hot water, of course, composting toilet. Overhead, there's an actual shower curtain that will go up, and then just more storage. To the right there, that rack is a towel warmer.
Can I stand here?
Yeah, please. So, well, it's a small and compact bathroom. It's
big though. There's New York apartments that don't have bathrooms.
Certainly, yeah. And actually, I'll close this door because it has really lovely lighting with the glass door here.
It's awesome. You can see a stranger just sneaking up on you.
Yeah. And the floor in the bathroom, there's cardboard on it, so it's not going to give you the visual, but it's a teak wood.
It's still, I'm obviously not standing in the cardboard because I'm a bad person, but no, it's beautiful wood.
Yeah, thanks. It's really, it's been fun to work with these, really lovely materials. Yeah, so this is just a test on utensil drawer. So it will be, kind of divided out, all of them. And one of my guys is drawing those up right now as I speak. We were just talking through cups and plates and everything. The coffee maker, there's some more storage behind. There's a Sonos Bluetooth speaker behind it, just to kind of contain that for when they're not moving. So we're just trying to make use of all these little nooks and crannies, and that side's got kind of a hanging storage with the Starlink behind.
Starlink is awesome. I used it up on the top of the Uintas here a little while ago, streaming videos in the middle of nowhere.
It's just the most bizarre and cool thing you could ever imagine, and that's become. For almost every single one of our builds, I would say from the beginning of 23 now onward, we've used Starlink for all that stuff. And that could be, this one's mounted up here, hard mounted, he's not taking it down. The Unimog is something that they'll move around if they need to. But vans, we'll put it on everything. It's pretty wild. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. And then this, kind of where the electrical area is, this is actually a raised platform, so it's not, they look tall right now, but that isn't quite finished. But this will also turn into a lounge, so cushions will go down. It's not a sleeping area, but it is in fact just a lounge. Table will slide, push down into with an additional cushion.
It's all compact.
It's very compact, yeah. And one of the most interesting things I think I've found with these big trucks, we start with this literally big blank canvas. It's a huge space from the get-go, and then we start to fill it up, and it's okay, we're running out of room here quickly, but there's still a lot of room. So we have to be very, very particular on, where all these things are going, how they're living, how they're breathing. And this area, again, very much a mess right now. It will be very cleaned up. We're charging some batteries still.
It's not bad for a construction zone, honestly. Though.
Yeah, it's very much a construction zone. The other cool thing with this bed is that it does, they can sleep across if they want, but these will also articulate out, fold out. And we don't have a countertop here, so there's a little bit of a wiggle. But then we have cushions, so they can sleep, they can lounge, do all this stuff. But also they can sleep front to back if they needed to. And then, actually, maybe I shouldn't say, maybe I should, but there's a whole bunch of hidden storage in the back. There's a safe in here. Kind of all of that stuff hidden.
They say stay strapped to get clapped. Just saying.
yeah, exactly. So, there's just again trying to make use of every little kind of nook and cranny. On the rear wall, there will be some storage, some like magazine style racks on both back corners there.
I really like how well thought out it is, like how planned in advance,
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I just love that stuff. And I think my clients appreciate it as well, which makes it even more fun because we both just kind of get excited over the little details. There's just stuff everywhere. So, but yeah, we didn't even look at the cabinets.
I like this cabinet, man.
Yeah, just huge kind of open space for a whole bunch of stuff. And these are effectively finished, which is nice to have that checked off the list. So. But yeah, like I said, this thing is probably 85% complete. Lots of little details left, and the little details are what take, honestly, the longest sometimes. So, but really a fun project. People, you might ask, what can be run off of this electrical system here? So similar to the Unimog, where it has a few means of charge from solar to shore input. And actually interesting on this is that it's intended to travel in the U.S., but also will go back to Europe. So we've had to be conscious of what is the charge in Europe, how will a shore be put in. So we have dual, Europe is using 240 versus R120. So we have dual shore inlets and a means to be able to charge. I got off subject there, but with this particular system, and we're missing a couple batteries here right now, but we have a system that does 120 and a system that also does 240. So it is an incredibly robust system. The oven that is just off to the right, this Miele oven, it's a power hungry unit. That thing will run upwards of six hours on the system. We have induction cooktop here, and that's compared to the oven is a kind of a small draw. But you can go, and then our AC, the AC is actually 120, and that's the cool thing with this AC is it's also a heat pump, so it does dual things. And I think with a lot of our builds, we're trying to have redundancy. So we have heated floors, we have forced heat air, we have AC, and we also have a heat pump from that heater or from the air conditioning unit. So a lot of redundancies. But this system can run all of that stuff in a nutshell on what you see here kind of in this bench seat. So while I'm not giving you any specifics, it has the ability to do all of these things from this Victron system, which is, again, kind of the goal with this whole thing is to be able to be pretty self-sufficient for a good period of time. So
computers, phones, satellite, communication,
easily.
Cooking,
Yep.
lighting, everything.
All of that stuff. Yeah. Sorry, there's someone banging. The lighting, those the computers, those are pretty low consuming items. So like those can go. I mean, I'll say forever. There's caveats there as to what that means, but those things are very low consumers. So they're compared to an oven, compared to this induction cooktop, like you could go forever with those items just running, which is again pretty fun. So I guess kind of speaking to like longevity of time in this vehicle. So he has a refrigerator and freezer right behind, and then there's an additional freezer here. And then in the cab, you'll see there was an additional cooler. So he has a lot of space for cold goods. And then there's also, of course, a lot of space for dry goods around for storage and whatnot, stuff in the garage and everything else. So this kind of lovingly call this kind of the boneyard. It's a big old muddy, dirty parking lot. But the trucks that we have out here, this is one of our first kind of like expedition truck builds. I found the truck out of Canada. The owner had imported the truck, had built the box, and really had done some work on the inside, but we ended up just gutting that. But so these trucks aren't the most beautiful, let's say. It hasn't been repainted, this one particularly. The one next to us has, and the other one across has, but this one is still a little more, this was what it looked like originally as it was a dump truck. So, it showcases what we do specifically on the inside, but the outside is, could be repainted, all of those things, but it isn't right now. So still a really fun truck though. It's actually one of the, funny enough, this old dump truck here, one of the nicer trucks that we've ever worked on. Very little wiring issues from previous manufacturers or anything like that, and just simple, all the Mercedes upholstery, trim, everything intact, clean. So I got lucky with this truck, kind of buying it sight unseen. But we can certainly look at this stuff here. And
Yeah,
go.
let's hop in. I'm not.
So this truck here was a truck I bought bought from a guy out of Canada, kind of as our first foray into what is an expedition truck. Let's say this big, kind of large lumbering vehicle. And
This is basically an LMTV. That's the other. Is this the German version of it?
kind of the Steyr is more. That's an Austrian truck. Is kind of that thing. It's actually very, very similar to what is that's an Acela. There was a Stuart Stevenson. But this is a commercial. This is just a basic stock commercial. Was a dump truck. So this is what it would come from. From a Mercedes factory. This. So I bought this truck out of a guy in Canada. He had built the box in the back, and this was kind of our first, like I said, foray into like what is that expedition truck. But this truck particularly, like the interior is intact. There are very few holes in the dash, let's say. It's a very simple, basic vehicle. It was very, very well cared for as a dump truck, which again, kind of wild. But we did clean it up. We added air ride seats. We've added air conditioning. We've added forward lights and those sorts of things, but really kind of kept it pretty simple, as the budget was simple for this one. So this right now has a little dog bed in it. I think we're going to put a third seat in here is kind of the plan. And then, yeah, the original configuration, ideally, you'd have a pass-through into the habitat, the living space. The previous owners had done this tire here, similar to Stuart Stevenson from military. So we've just kind of left that. We revised the spare tire a little bit, but left it otherwise as it was a little complicated. So, but yeah, we can go look in the habitat as well.
Actually, I'll pull these steps. That's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, it's funny. I've seen all kinds of things, from motorized steps to articulating steps, and the theory behind all of them is usually pretty good. But there's something so just like that's simple about this that I
It's not gonna
love it.
break. It's like it's nothing to get sand in it.
It always works. It's always here. So I'm gonna jump up here and then get this door. There's also a stair set, but that'll
Be a pain to get out right then. Then we can jump in. Yeah. Nice. Did that one hand.
like I said, this was kind of our first foray into what is the, box style build. And so while it's all custom, it was kind of custom for no one, which is always very, very difficult to build for, and difficult to anticipate what that next person would want to have. But, kind of being thoughtful with that is we have a lot of storage, which is key. Air conditioning unit, overhead vents, skylights. The bed area, the seating area does convert to a bed, a smaller bed. Microwave, refrigerator, induction cooktop. So we've done Bluetooth audio. I mean, it's not uncommon stuff that we have. Hot cold water, of course, and then full floor to ceiling shower. The cool thing I think about the shower is that it does have you basically are standing on the gray tank, so that the shower drains directly into the gray tank, and then from our touchscreen you can drain that from the control of your phone or from the back behind us here on the touchscreen. So, and then of course the garage behind or underneath, just more storage for gear, for stuff, queen size bed, and then just more storage in the back. So it's I think I'm certainly biased, but I think it's a thoughtful floor plan. I can swing this way, and you can get more. Yeah, and then again, kind of like typical things where you'll have some hanging closet space where you might need a jacket. And I think a lot of the travelers, a lot of our clients that are using these vehicles, they're in them for. Whereas our van clients are in them for a little more shorter term. These the expedition vehicles meant for longer term travel, right? So you're going to have perhaps different seasons you're traveling through. So it's nice to have, a place for jackets for those things that are going to be needed, maybe not when you go in the summer, but then as you get into fall, you'll want to have. So kind of storage space for all that stuff. And then below is just more storage space. Just keys are in the little cubbies and stuff. Kind of dividing that out a little bit better. So And then similar to, other trucks, we're utilizing space. This one's finished, so you can kind of see the detail here perhaps of, the system, the part of the system that you'll really interface with, the breakers. Again, it's trying to keep it as simple as possible. It's very rare you'll need to do much of anything with the system except perhaps flip a breaker every once in a while, to check on certain things. So that's how you'll interface with it with our systems. So, otherwise, lots of storage, and it's
kind of awesome.
Yeah,
Kind of reminds me of the inside of a ship.
It's funny, we pull a lot from the marine industry. There's a lot of similar components, a lot of fun product in that world as well. That is really great to. I mean, for instance, the table post on this comes from the marine world. It's something that's very common on a ship or a boat where you have to use the space very, very thoughtfully, because you only have so much of it, right? So there's a give and take there.
The one thing I wanted to share with people is just the modularity and how you can take everything with you. So a concept that I've had, and I've talked about a lot of times on different channels, is in actual events, wars, earthquakes, a lot of stuff that's geographical. And if you have the ability to just walk outside and get in just the simplest of a camper or a pop-up or something, see, earthquakes shake buildings down. They just bounce campers. It's true, right? Earthquake wars, they suck. But if you can get out of the area, you're less affected. So when you've got something that can ford 7 feet of water, travel 1,000 miles on a tank, it recharges itself for its own electricity, and you've got a little bit of cash that you can, once you've gone your 1,000 miles, hit reset on that tank and do another 1,000 miles. I can go from Salt Lake City to New York in 2 tanks with your other vehicle that you have right there. And stuff like that is kind of awesome to me. So having the ability, and they're a little spendy. They're like a second house, or even nowadays, sadly, they're like a half second house. Certainly. However, they open up this realm where if you need to leave, you just get in the vehicle and you go. And you can potentially never come back, and you have a second home that you can roam around in. Maybe that's not ideal, but it's an option. So that's kind of what I wanted to convey to people. That's kind of why I was attracted to looking at these, is because it gives you so much mobile ability. It gives you the ability to go up into a mountain and park, and you live here now, right? And the reality is a lot of that survival stuff hopefully never happens. Certainly. But if it does, you have this. And if it doesn't, it's really cool taking something like this to, New York if you have to, or the Grand Canyon right here, or the Tetons right there, or Yosemite right over here, or even down to Baja, Mexico.
That's very common. It's a very common trip for sure. Yeah, I mean, the ability with one of these, it is a second home. There's no question. I mean, maybe it doesn't take as long perhaps to build as a home, but actually, yes, sometimes it does.
I don't even assume this is more complicated. I'm kind of biased because I build a lot of homes.
Certainly.
And I'm still really learning on that.
It's more complicated than a home in a sense. A home, like you said, is a home is somewhat stationary, right? Earthquakes can affect those things, and when they do, you see things fall apart essentially. Whereas this vehicle goes through heat, goes through cold, drastically.
Synthetic, and it's going to handle water and
exactly. Yeah,
it's more like a boat and less like a wood structure.
Exactly. Yeah, it has to remain. It has to kind of breathe a little bit because it is going down the road. It is vibrating ever so slightly. And again, a vehicle goes through a lot of heat, goes through a lot of cold. When it's not being used, perhaps it's more moderate when, we don't have the heater on.
You could drive this up and park it in a place, and now you've got a forward operating base on that location. A house that just moves and everything is attached to it.
Yep. And it is just as, it's more compact than most homes, let's say, but it is a home. You have all of those amenities, right? So, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, thanks for letting me check these out today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
If you guys got comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comment section. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
I'm going to try one of these.
Yeah.
you.